Yesterday, one of our speakers quoted the old saying, never was anyone fired for hiring IBM. And I'm sure never was anyone fired for inviting a speaker from IBM either, at least not this one. She has been fascinated by technology from an early age, and she has a clear focus on artificial intelligence, big data, OpenShift, and open source. And she will tell you where to start with your journey to AI. Why don't we start with a round of applause for the leader of IBM Infrastructure and Ecosystem for Artificial Intelligence, Big Data, and Open Source, Dilek Sezgün. Dilek, great to have you.
Hello.
Welcome.
Speaking out of the cloud. How are you?
I'm great. I hope you're great too, and we can see you, we can hear you perfectly, so take it away, please.
Okay, great. Thank you. So, as already mentioned, I'm the AI, Big Data, and Open Source Leader for Systems and Ecosystem. And I would like to take you today to a journey to AI and how you could start and implement AI for your company. Sometimes when I have discussions with companies on how they could start, they are telling me I do not have any clue, or they are saying, for me, AI is something like a black box and rabbits coming out of it. But of course, this is not. Yeah, AI isn't magic. AI you could use in everywhere, and the base of everything is data. It's just simple like this. And data is the fuel for digital transformation. You could, with AI, unlock the value of your data, and hybrid cloud is the data platform for everything and could support you in going into this transformation. By the way, $16 trillion to the global economy will be AI participating until 2030. So AI is really key for everybody of us, and it's not magic. It is only just a journey for everybody of us. And I will take you into this journey now with me together. And one part of this I would like to show you is that only 15% the companies are getting out of their data, and 80% is unlocked. And because of this locking, you are sitting on a really big base of data and you couldn't use it. And this is really the part where you need to think about AI, because it could help you to get more insights into this data. When we are looking at the companies, and most companies, they are sitting in the 64% you are seeing in the white bubble in the middle here in my presentation. The most companies are thinking about cost reduction, about modernization, but there is a far way to go with insight-driven self-service analytics and new business models with like AI. To come there is needed a lot of new models and new things, and especially now during COVID-19, a lot of companies need to focus on how they could get more out of their data and how they could start this really unique journey. So the question for me is, where are you in your journey in that case? Are you sitting in the 64%? Are you in the beginning? Or did you just started already with your business models? We as IBM and the Data Foundation is, as we have talked, is the organizing of everything. And we are saying to this data organization, it's the information architecture for AI. So you need to think first before you are starting about your data silos, where they are sitting, are they in the cloud, are they on an infrastructure, and how you could handle them. What would be a way to automate and govern your data and your AI lifecycle, how you could operationalize this ones. And a really big thing on this is, of course, ethical aspects, trust and transparency in these AI models, how you could extract them. And in all of this, do you have a login or do you have an agility? Because really important in everything when you are setting it up, how you could get it open with some open source frameworks, something maybe in the cloud, some parts in the infrastructure, because a lot of companies do not start from the scratch. They have already infrastructure. They have maybe started already a little bit in a cloud and have built their some models. And now they are needing to change they need to think about a change on how do they get everything together. How could I start it with bringing different units together? You have, for example, the data centers, or you have then an AI team. Maybe you have only one person. How could I get all these different areas together? And you have sometimes some business units who are saying, I have this and this problems. And you could maybe think about some AI who could change these problems in that case. When we as AI speak about AI, we are speaking about an AI letter. So but the beginning of everything is this letter when you have thought about the information infrastructure. So you collect data, you organize the data, you analyze the data, and you infuse the data. All to modernize the things you are having in the AI and in your hybrid cloud world. So, and if you are starting this AI letter, you have a lot of things you need to think about. And we as IBM have a couple of offerings where we are putting exactly for this AI letter everything together. The base is always where you are already starting. You have a data center, you have maybe some infrastructure. It could be from IBM, it could be also from other vendors. You have any cloud, maybe on Azure, on AWS, maybe also on IBM Cloud. So there are different bases where you're maybe starting. The base for everything at IBM is Red Hat OpenShift. You know, probably we have bought Red Hat, and with that, we have figured out that Red Hat OpenShift is the base and could be a great part for everything when you are going into AI. One offering in that Red Hat OpenShift, and where Red Hat OpenShift is also included, is Cloud Pak for Data. And Cloud Pak for Data has a couple of more functions than only what OpenShift has. But the base, and this is why we decided for OpenShift, is it's really open. You could switch in different clouds with different infrastructures, and you could use everything. And you have a container-based model. What is really important in that area, because sometimes I'm saying when you have infrastructure, is like you have virtualization. This is sometimes like a new normal car. But if you want to have an electronic car, then you need containers. And it's a little bit the same. It's a new world. And with these containers, Red Hat OpenShift is a possibility, especially in changing also between the clouds and using that what you are already having. And Cloud Pak for Data is something where you have a couple of more possibilities, especially in that AI journey. On the top of this, we as IBM offering data open governance infosphere in the DB2 family. But the real important parts are the ones who are from data scientists. And data scientists in their life cycle, when they are doing something, they are preparing their data, they are building with their data, they are running the data, and they are managing their data. So these tools, what you are seeing here, are really for the data scientists to work with the AI and the algorithms here in that case. On top of this, we have, of course, a couple of pre-built use cases and Watson applications, so that you do not need to begin everything from the scratch. So you have the possibility that you have already some services around it, or could get from IBM people who are doing things for you. And I think a lot of you maybe have heard it already during COVID-19, especially the chats are most important part, where we have also a focus on it to have chatbots in that area. And of course, we have in all of this business and technical services. And what we are starting, or when we are starting, the most thing what we are doing is using an IBM Garage. What is IBM Garage? It's like a little bit a startup concept, yeah? A lot of people are coming together and bringing their know-how together. It's depending also from your know-how. If you have, for example, use cases already on which you are working because you are thinking it could be a good one, we could work with you on this one in the detail. Or if you do not have any ideas of a use case, we are coming with use case and explaining what other market players are doing in that area, what you could do for your industry. The aim of everything is, of course, to give you an advantage in that area to settle up in AI. And this brings me also already to the call to action for your company. I would tell you not to start with an AI strategy. Yeah, a lot of when I'm discussing with customers, a lot of customers are saying, I need an AI strategy. When I have this AI strategy, I could start with projects. Often I say, no, please start with projects, because if you are starting with projects, you have the possibility to have a look on what is effective for your industry and for your company. What are things what will be interesting for your company? It could be very simple things, yeah, like matching offerings with some receipts. It could be much more. And you have in your business units, when you're asking them, a lot of cases where you could bring a lot of value to them because it's stupid work. It's simple work where you could use AI and where AI could make your life much more better. And this is why we are saying start with some projects, especially with the ladder of AI. So collect your data and organize it, analyze it, and infuse it. With this ladder of AI, you could start your first projects, you could start your first use cases, and could get some advantages, and you are knowing then better what is the best for your company. You could build an in-house AI team. Sometimes and often it's not only a complete team, sometimes it's only one person. Please make aware yourself of you have always a data center team. Yeah, this should be maybe a separate team who is thinking about what could be useful for for the business units. And it should be one team who is helping and supporting the business units, but interacting with the data center team to bring it together. If you do not have the right skills, or the people do not have the right skills, provide broad AI trainings. And there are a couple of ones. So I'm also in social media. Sometimes I'm linking them or telling here, these are the best ones. There are a lot of Coursera courses. There are a lot of trainings outside, and even on YouTube, you find a lot of things. So make yourself aware about which possibilities you have, and then start your strategy, because then you are knowing what is important for your company. What are the things that could help your company in that area, and then finally develop an internal and external communication that you are started this use case. Of course, it could be for your own customers, for example. It could be a great use case, and we have a lot of from this one that customers are coming to us and we are developing a use case for their end customers, for example. So then you need, of course, external communications that the other customers are aware about, that what you are having on possibilities. As I said, all of the base of this is our AI letter, and I will be very happy to explain it more. You could imagine that there are a lot of more possibilities to show you what are in the different bullets of collect, organize, analyze, and infuse. And of course, there are a lot of offerings behind it. But this will be too much for the 20 minutes we are having here. So you could reach out to me to have this discussion on that area. I'm in LinkedIn, and it will be a pleasure to have the discussion. And I had already in the morning today at 8 o'clock a discussion. It was nearly about the same subject. So I think it makes really sense to have this collaboration and the networking in that area. So, but as key takeaway from my session, I want to tell you again, data fuels digital transformation. So data is the key, and we could unlock this data via AI. The base for this is hybrid cloud, so a mixture of on-premise and cloud, and we could support you in that case. But in the most of the thing, and this is the most important one, is AI is not magic. It's a journey. It's not a rabbit I'm taking out. It's very simple, and you could start with it. And we as IBM would be very happy to help you and support you with that. And of course, because we are saying we have an industry leadership in that area and had already a lot of industry awards in that area. And we are open. This is one of the most important things for me, and I like this very much. It's a lot of open source, and that we have bought Red Hat and OpenShift and take this as a part of AI, our AI story, shows that we are really meaning it, that this is really important for us, and that you could use open source in that area. So that's it from my side. I thank you. So I had a little bit time over, but I think there is also a poll, as I'm knowing it right, yeah?
Yes, there is. We'd ask everybody to answer. Did you already start your journey to AI? Yes, no? That's interesting that there is a third option. It says not yet, but I plan to start with it ASAP. Very interesting. So that's a double no, but one no is with a little excuse. Dilek, thank you very much. Let's talk a little about maybe two things that interest me. Of course, you were very clear, and everyone knows and agrees that you need data, right, to fuel your AI endeavors. Absolutely. But I think there are many companies who either don't know what kind of data they have, or they don't know or are afraid that the quality of the data is not enough. How do you work with people like that? Do they even approach you and say, let's talk about the data, or do they probably never call?
Yes, of course, they are approaching also in that area.
Right.
And you imagine we have for everything a solution in an offering, yeah. And we are very, we are knowing also that 80% of everything in the AI, especially the data preparation, is taking a lot of time. And this is something where you have a lot of offerings and possibilities. We have, for example, but I do not want to go in detail, but we have, for example, for visual recognition, a tool where you could put 5 pictures in, and you get automatically some other pictures helping you to get more data. Yeah, when you do not have, for example, enough pictures. But of course, we have also offerings where you could organize your data. Yeah, this is the base of the AI ladder.
Right. I'm not sure if it's the case in other countries too, but I know that at least in Germany, there's also, especially with SMEs, still a large fear of cloud applications and using cloud services. And you also mentioned that a hybrid cloud is very important to the goals that people should set for themselves. How do you deal with cloud fear? Do you experience that too?
Yeah, it depends, yeah. So for us, is the base, of course, Red Hat OpenShift as cloud, yeah.
Right.
And we use it in everywhere in that case, yeah. But I'm not sure what you are meaning with fear.
All right. Looking at the poll, nobody has not started or is not willing to start soon. So good for you. You're obviously underway in the right field. What would you say if people just blankly ask you, is AI for everyone? We heard earlier that it's probably not for everyone, at least not with respect to building a whole AI company from the current situation, for instance. But would you say everybody will have to look at AI sometime in the near future?
Yeah, even if there's somebody else who's saying it's not for everyone, there is also a course in Coursera is saying AI for everywhere. I'm very keen that my daughter, she is 7 years old, will maybe drive electric cars, and they have an AI automatism in it. So there will be a lot of things in the near future where we are maybe not thinking about it. Yeah. So as I'm started and I studied, I had my first smartphone, and everybody had a look on me and said, "Oh, why do you have a smartphone?" Yeah, we couldn't imagine this. And I think in 10 or 20 years, we will see things where we are not thinking about yet that we will have this kind of things. And it will help us really to get an incremental, like really great future if we are not afraid about it. And this is something what I'm liking in IBM the most. we are thinking about how we could use it ethically, correct the AI, because this is a really important thing. It starts all with ethics. If we are not thinking about it, and we are not thinking about the ethics, then we will have, of course, always the people who are afraid to go this way along with us.
Right. Thank you very much. Those were my questions. Thank you for sharing your insights and perspective with us. Dilek Sezgün, everyone. Thank you.